Well, welcome. This is going to be the first of many training videos. I'm going to try to make it easy, and we're going to cover a lot of different topics, but I thought it might be helpful, and a few of you had requested that I give you a little bit of background first. First, my name is Gary Reese, and I've been in healthcare for a long time. I've had a couple of pretty interesting successes, and I'll share those with you and how it relates to what we're doing now. Start out with a company called Pharmaco. Some of you may remember that. A guy named Greg Nakagawa and I started that company, and we went from 63 prescriptions in January of 13 to 16,000 in July of 14. Now that is some meteoric growth. We did that by opening and operating 10 compound pharmacies in 5 states. But we did it with the premise that, obviously patient care is always number one. Number two was driving compliant revenue to doctors. And so we formed a Series LLC, joint venture, $4 million in legal fees later. It worked, right? But the Achilles heel to that was physician ownership. And so July 14 or so, I guess maybe it was July of 15 now that I say it out loud, the Express Scripts decided to play doctor with no license and stopped reimbursing. And you guys probably remember that. You've been around a minute. Thankfully, we had the foresight to jump into the diagnostic space, and we owned and operated a 6,000 square foot high complexity lab here in the Woodlands, Texas, where I'm speaking to you now from. We did a couple of things that we took away from this. One was revenue drives this thing, right? And so not only from a rep standpoint, but if we take care of our physicians, then we have some traction and we have some sticky factor. That means they're not going to jump the first time the next shiny rep walks in the door. So when we had Pharmaco, we had 1,200 W-2'd salespeople. And I'll tell you what, that was not the right solution. But that was all we knew, and we did our best and moved forward, and we learned some things. And one of them was we're not pharmacists. The second was 1,200 people really meant we had about 100 that were working hard and contributing on a daily basis. So the Pareto principle says 80-20. I call it the Reese principle, which is 95-5 experience, right? So as we moved into lab, we took that we're not pharmacists mentality, and we hired a geneticist. We had a strategic partnership with a company called ESA. Tremendous ownership over there, really good guys and ladies that provided, a level of trust and let's conquer these problems as they come up together kind of attitude. And we hit 100 million in under 18 months there, 99 to be specific, but it would have been 175 if a very well-known provider had paid us. No audit, just, hey, you got physician ownership, we're not going to pay you. And a couple other regional hospitals went under also. So Pharmaco went to 100 million in about 18, 20 months. And then so did we at LabServe, was named my company, but ESA Labs was the face of the company. But we did that with 85 reps. We had several, 3 people that were making well over $1 million. It is doable, right? What you have to have is a little bit of a perfect storm, like these loopholes that come up in medicine and healthcare. And the second thing is you have to have something that really helps the patients. And so I got out of healthcare. I'll be honest. I was demoralized. It felt like someone had taken away a child, and was talked back into this because there was something on the table that couldn't be taken away from me, and that was clinical research. The phase trial system has been around for as long as any of us have been alive, and it's not going anywhere. Every drug and device you've ever heard of and seen have gone through phase 1 through 4. And so we jumped back in. We signed up 100 offices, and we were using a company which shall remain nameless, but I'm sure many of you know, whose motto is clinically naive. Let's go get those people. They're the ones that are hot and heavy for this, and you're going to make a gajillion dollars. Well, that was not the truth. The truth is that clinically naive practices do not get approved direct to big pharma. There's an intermediary step that needs to take place, and that's something called the site management organization. Not as easy as it sounds, but doable with the right partner. And so we had 100 offices, 85 doctors in the loop, 0 trials approved. And so that prompted, thankfully, we saw the writing on the wall relatively quickly. Reputationally, we started hearing things, and it forced us to go out into the market and find a solution, right? We had these doctors, we made commitments. You have to honor that no matter what. And so we were fortunate. We ended up partnering with a company called PAS Research, based out of Tampa, Florida. And man, they've been around 8 years, do phenomenal stuff. They operate as a CRO, which means contract research organization, creates budgets, partners with pharma, but really their niche is observational studies, or another way you can say that is real world evidence-based trials. So these are all post-market, and to clarify, that means that these are already FDA approved. Combinations of drugs, it could be diagnostics, it could be pharmacy, it's all kinds of things you can do this. You could really create one around anything. So we decided to jump into where we saw the economics being the strongest, where physicians are using this as a standard of care. This is important because we don't study patients. We're studying the practitioner. And that allows us to lower our level of compliance like 90%. No identifiers from the patients. You don't have to have consent. This is really a pretty simple deal. And what we're studying instead is, how does a practitioner change his or her treatment of the patient as a result of these tests? How does a patient respond to a topical or a medicated foot bath, as the case may be, wound cream, there's quite a few, topically versus orally? Is there better adherence? Are there better results? Is this combination of drugs worth pharma looking at to patent, right? Because a lot of the stuff is generic. We're trying to keep it formulary. There's a fine line of taking care of the patient, one, two, making sure the economics can drive and support the research, and three, making sure that the copay for the patient is absolutely as close to zero as possible. So we've done that. As a result, we're heavily involved in the pharmacy space now. It's kind of a full circle for me, and it's been very, very effective. I'm going to get into the next video. I just wanted to kind of introduce myself and the team and what we do. The next video is going to go into, who do we speak with? Why do those types of doctors need us? And from there, I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.